Building the Kingston Bridge was a huge achievement, but when it was finished, only half the inner ring road had actually been completed. And by the mid-1970s, public opposition to the other half was growing louder about the inner road network, devastating even more homes and communities. The council abandoned the plan in the early 1980s.
The incomplete nature of the scheme explains strange sites like this one behind me. The never-built junction of the unrealised southern flank of the ring road. It's known locally as the ski jump. It's not hard.
Despite never being fully finished, what was built of the inner ring road system totally transformed Glasgow. For car users, there were direct benefits. Average speed increased and journey times through the city shortened. But for lovers of old architecture, there was much to complain about. A huge motorway had smashed through a large chunk of the city, changing it forever. From the sky, it's clear just how much of Glasgow's Victorian architectural heritage has been erased.
There was a time when we thought that cars and roads would come to dominate the cities of tomorrow. But not now. What we once put on show, we now want to hide away.
One of the proposals is this striking plan to cover up the Charing Cross section of the M8 with a city park. Glasgow's post-war experience of grand urban master plans has been a very mixed one. Take high-rise living. In little more than a generation, attitudes came full circle. Tower blocks were heralded as smart solutions to inner-city housing shortages, but just a few decades later, they became part of the problem, monuments to social decay and deprivation. Lives lived high in the Glasgow. Over time, new buildings are created to redefine the character of our urban landscapes. And our vast collection of aerial photography continues to record these changes.
Our cities never stay still, whether we plan or not, and they illustrate how the view from above remains the best way of tracking change.
This is Dundee. Of all Scotland's big cities, Dundee is the one currently experiencing the most rapid change. It's always been a boom and bust city, creating good structure stands out.
It's a building that's still under construction, and the best view of it is from the River Tay.
When you first glimpse its unusual form, it's difficult not to be impressed. Costing a cool £80 million, it's the new Victoria and Albert Design Museum.
Just like the pavilions of Glasgow's Empire exhibition, you get the sense that Thomas Tate would approve.
The harbour has always been key to the story of Dundee. Like many cities, it's where Dundee's fortunes have risen and fallen repeatedly over the centuries.
At the start of the 19th century, a major harbour redevelopment and reclaimed land, the work of the great Thomas Telford once again, greatly increased the volume of merchant traffic.
By 1912, Dundee's The Victoria Dock was built to serve the trade in one of Dundee's biggest products, jute. At the industry's peak, 40% of the city worked with jute, and there were over 130 mills. Each one boasted a thin, towering chimney, signatures of the city's skyline. Fast forward to this photograph, taken in 1942. The jute industry was in terminal decline, undercut by cheaper labour costs in India. The port fell quiet, the buildings gradually abandoned. The surrounding area was buried under a huge expanse of concrete and car parks. Was the harbour to remain redundant, lost forever? For decades, this question remained unanswered.
Until now, that is, because this area is currently undergoing a £1 billion, 3-decade-long
The film
redevelopment.
about
It's a grand
Scotland.
experiment in cityscaping.
It's
that's
amazing.
unparalleled in modern Scotland.
This is how the city is developed.
The V&A Museum is at the centre of this
Look at this building.
city.
Isn't that wonderful?
Its director, Philip Long, thinks it will turn Dundee into a cultural hub for generations to come.
That's all for today.